Who knew Batgirl and Ant-Man had such good chemistry?
You gonna be on my f***ing time!
Welcome back to the Whiplash Effect, you guys. My name is Casey with my review for you today on Clueless. Clueless was a movie made in 1995 which follows Cher, played by Alicia Silverstone, the central character as she navigates through high school and tries to sustain popularity, her friends, and possibly find somebody to go steady with. So I know that I said I was going to be doing 5 bullet points for every movie, but given that I'm fairly lazy, I'm only going to be doing 3. So for this movie, it's going to be production design, story, and characters. Starting us off with production design, Clueless looks great. It's eccentric, it's fun, it takes place in Beverly Hills with a bunch of rich kids, so it needs to look vibrant and crazy, and that it does. Right from the start of this movie, from its costumes, to its locations, to its parties, you can see that it's crazy and wild, and that really lends itself to what this movie is. It takes place in the 90s, so every technical aspect plays into that. It looks like the 90s, it feels like the 90s, which makes it a really fun ride the whole way through. And with all that, it doesn't go too far. This movie technically takes place in reality, I'll talk more on that later, so it needs to ground itself in real life, and that it does. So moving on to the story, this is by far the best aspect of the movie. I love the story that Clueless has. Some people may say it's cliche with all of its high school tropes and the whole mean girl popular clique, but even so, I don't know where I'm going with this. It established itself very quickly as something very different because it doesn't really take place in real life. Yes, technically it does, but very quickly you realize this is a heightened reality. You realize this very quickly with the costumes and the situations that these characters get into, and even the characters' names alone, with the main characters being named Cher and Dion. It doesn't really lend itself to reality. Other high school movies want you to show, okay, this is real life, this is how it works, and some of them do it really well, but this one is so outlandish and crazy that it works so much better. Because even though it takes place in this heightened reality, all of the character motivations are there, they're clear, all of the characters have heart, and all of them are believable. Not only that, the story has a lot of different subplots, but all of them work. And sure, some of Cher's character motivation transfers fairly quickly throughout the film, but that's okay because this is the crazy, sporadic mind of the teenager, and we really get that throughout the film. So like I said earlier, this movie has so much impact and heart, even though it takes place in this heightened reality, so the story is definitely one of the best aspects. And finally, the third thing I want to talk about are the characters. In a lot of high school movies, there's only a couple characters that you really care about and everybody else is pushed aside, but every single character in this movie is lovable and great. Specifically Cher and Dion because we spend the majority of the movie with them, but I really like that because in a lot of high school movies, the main popular girls have no depth and they're there just to be mean. But this one establishes that they have a soul. The many times stereotypical popular girls aren't just there to be mean and bully the protagonist because they are our protagonists. And not only do they care about remaining popular, but they care about their grades, they care about people, they care about themselves, and that's really important. And not only that, a lot of lead female characters in these high school movies are portrayed as dumb and oblivious, and these characters really are aware. They're aware of everything around them, they're aware of themselves, and they have a pretty darn extensive vocabulary.
Whatever.
This is one of the first films I've seen in a while where all of the minor characters are just as important to the central plot as Cher is. They all have a specific role to play for how short or how long they're in the movie, and they all play that character really well. This film is presented through Cher's perspective, which is evident because of her addresses to the audience, which, mind you, work very well. So all of the sub-characters play a very profound role in Cher's life, which the audience really get to see play out. Because this movie takes place in heightened reality, we have to have heightened characters, so the fact that it takes place in Beverly Hills, in high school with some really rich kids, work for the film. So as you can see, Clueless is a much more mature movie than it presents itself, and man is that refreshing. And now for the diversity rating. Given that this movie came out over 20 years ago, Clueless does a pretty good job. It passes the Bechdel test, Dion and her boyfriend are both lead characters, so it has 2 people of color as leads, and 1 queer character, even if he is a walking stereotype. But hey, it was the 90s. At least he's there. So with all that said, Clueless is a fun look at high school and a very interesting character study on the teenage mind, so that's why it's Golden Globe worthy. And for all of you guys out there who think it's just a lame chick flick where nothing interesting happens, thank you guys so much for watching my review of Clueless. For our last 2 solo reviews, you can click here, and for last week's Friday video, you can click here, which was our most anticipated movies of 2016. So, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's a wrap.